Happy Friday, everyone. It is 8:02 a.m. Chicago time on Friday, the 20th of September 2019. Thanks for joining me this morning. Just a quick mic check just to make sure my mic is not running really hot this morning. I'm in a different workstation, different office. Just let me know. Um, Today is our 1600th episode, a big episode today, I guess. Um, it's been quite a ride. This started back in 2014 maybe, something like that. 2013, 2014. Anyway, thanks for joining me again. It is the end of the week. The first thing you should know is that it is Quad Witching Friday. Quad Witching Friday. This means that futures come to an expiration today. Options on equities, options on futures, and single stock, um, stock futures as well. So this is a big one. At the end of the day, there will be more options expiring. Many options will expire right at the cash open. However, to hedge delivery, to hedge assignment, folks may still need to participate in the futures markets in terms of hedging their risk, right? You may need to deliver, you know, 1,000 contracts short or something like that for a short put that is in the money, and you may need to cover that position. Uh, so, uh, by selling futures and so on. So anyway, so just pay attention there. It may be a little jerky at the open. So that's where we stand in terms of where the market is this morning. The overall sentiment is slightly to the positive side. Slight risk on sentiment this morning. We did sell into the prior range yesterday in the equities. And well, with the Russell, it poked up and moved back to the lower end of Wednesday's range. But with the S&P, we pushed to the most recent swing high at 2023 or so. Went up 6 ticks and failed and turned over, only to get back to that 3005 area. I'll cover that in a minute. But we're opening a slight bit higher. I would not call it a risk on day all that much, but money is moving to has moved to equities through the extended hours. The leader today is crude oil. Crude oil popping a little bit higher to 59.06, up 86 cents. Again, this is a November contract. The Eurostox 50 are up 0.5%. The Nasdaq's up 0.33%. The dollar's up, and the laggard today is the British cable, British pound, euro, and the 10 year as well as the bonds. The bonds are only down 1 tick, so there's just kind of the market's teetering. The overall expectation for today is probably a very muted session. When we look at the overnight session, we see that actually it was relatively tight compared to the prior sessions, and I expect that to carry forward. In terms of what's on the calendar, there wasn't really much that was announced in the extended hours that impacted us. There are a few numbers here and there. The one remaining figure that's important is the Eurozone consumer confidence, which comes out at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. Um, 10 Eastern, just a half hour after the open, expecting -7. The prior is -7.1. Again, consumer confidence flash for September, expecting -7 at 10 o'clock Eastern. And then we have Fed's Rosengren at 11:20 Eastern today. Again, I'm expecting this to be a pretty muted session. I will comment in the Convergent chat room as the action unfolds. If I do something with the market, as always, I'll show it. But overall, not expecting very much. Let's take a look at the overall theme for this morning. The theme for today is, in terms of news and geopolitical events, really there's not much going on. The only thing that really hit the wires is that the Indian Sensex pushes up about 6% on a pretty big corporate tax cut that is intended to stimulate growth. Other than that, really a pretty quiet session. There's not much out there that the market needs to price in. Let's take a look in our review segment at what was expected yesterday. Why does this look like it's low quality? Let's see. Yeah, this looks like it's pretty low quality. Um, Primary scenario, we're likely to push up above the overnight high yesterday, 30.15.50. The expectation is for us to make an attempt at least into 1850. We ended up pushing to 24, and then we would fall back into the range. So if you look at scenario one, a push up that falls back into the range and holds at 05 and potentially pops higher. What we did get is something that looked a little up and then ended up closing right in here. So we cut off scenario one early, and therefore it didn't really manage to do much beyond that. It's pretty quiet session yesterday. Here's what actually happened. Let's take a look at it on the two-tick Renko. It's a little bit clearer. So we open up. Remember the high overnight was 1550, I believe. Let me double check that. Make sure I'm right. Yep, is 1550. We push up to 2450. We roll over and we come back to 05, and then we pretty much stop and just go sideways. Again, this was what was expected: a push up, turn over to 5, and then take a bounce. But we got to the 05 at the end of this session, and it stopped right there. So overall, scenario one was on point, really missed the high, the extent of the high, but overall, the expectation was for it to turn over into the prior range and to test 05 at some point, and that's pretty much exactly what it did. It went to 0475. You heard it before the market, you saw it during the market, but trading it is a whole different story. Let's carry that over into the overnight. Pull that up. I don't know what happened to that chart. Overnight session. Where are you, baby? There we go. Here's the overnight session. Opens, tests up, tests down into that 05, tests up to that 12, 07, 14, 10, 16 and a half, back down to 10 and holding steady. That's the pattern so far. It really isn't doing a lot of damage in either direction. We did push back into the prior day's point of control at 16, but overall, the overnight session is not accomplishing very much. The volume is not all that high given expiration, only 170,000. It's only slightly higher than what we would consider to be the expected volume for the overnight session. Kind of odd. The profile is balanced to P-ish in shape. Um, it's the skew of values on the upper end of the range. It seems more incomplete on the high than the low. It seems like this profile would be more balanced if it extended just slightly higher like that. So to me, it just looks like the full day price discovery yesterday. We had a neutral day yesterday. We finished actually neutral extreme down. Technically, neutral extreme down. We finished in the lower quartile. We tested up, we tested down, we tested above the IB, tested below the IB. But the profile for yesterday says price discovery all the way and it's likely to spur us to do the same today. So that's the expectation. Really, it's really a preview of what I think the session is going to look like. So let's take a look at CT Bookmap Pro. This is crude. Crude had just a pop right before 8 o'clock. Let me cross-reference that. I don't see much in terms of news. Yeah, I don't see much in terms of news that would cause crude to pop here. But here's the overnight session. We reopen back here at 5 o'clock Central, and you could see that we're moving into a little more liquidity up above down at 3017 to 3018, and below the liquidity remains at oh 05, the oh 05, oh 04 and a half area. So the when I extend out this full depth, you automatically see that long-term liquidity above, right at the most recent high, 3027, and then underneath that, 3018 is offered for a while. Below 3001, 3005, and then below that, this has been here for 2 days now. 2996 even has been bid for quite a bit, for quite a while. That's what the liquidity picture looks like. What we want to do is match it up with our predefined levels. We call those stock zones. That's a registered trademark. Uh, when we have those two combined, we have basically weapons hot, kind of ready to execute. That's my approach, and it's just a matter of what the order flow shows to pull the trigger. Let's take a look at what's expected for today, but I'm gonna stop and bug you for a minute about hitting the like button today. It is Like Friday. Hit the like button. This helps people find the broadcast, and helps spread the word. Okay, so let's see what is expected for today. What are the plans? What scenarios might play out? Here we go. Scenario one, the most likely scenario: an open that attempts to revert down into the prior close. I expect that it's likely to find find some support. I'm looking for a quick bounce up into the 3018.50. Remember, there's liquidity here, and then I'm looking for it to consolidate a while before it starts grinding again towards that high and the high liquidity up in the 3024 through 27. There's liquidity, if you recall from Bookmap. 24.75 is where it starts, and then it repeats again at 30.27. I'm expecting it to consolidate here and then squeeze that high before backing off into the weekend. So responding to the close, but then the market's expected to push higher, take out that relatively weak high on the overnight session and squeeze higher. Not seeing very much of an argument for a push lower, but anything can happen. Secondary, it opens up, it pushes higher immediately, gets into 3018.50. Again, 3018 has liquidity, also a little bit at 3020, and then it fails to hold, comes back down to the open, and then starts moving towards 3005 again to challenge 3005, and then potentially 3001 and a half down here for the bounce. I expect that 3000 will be heavily defended. 3000 is also a major strike for today for expiration. The range that I'm showing may be a little bit too optimistic. It may actually not get very far. I'm showing a range on scenario two of 17 points or so. It's not likely. Scenario one gets about from 12 to about 27 about 15 points that may be possible, but overall, I'm not expecting too much today. I'm going to be very, very picky about what I engage with, and it needs to line up. The market has to come to me in order for me to engage. I'm not going to go chasing trades, especially not at the open. I've just stopped kind of trading the open because I believe that posting opening trades makes folks kind of feel anxious and needing to do something at the open. So that's where we stand. Hopefully you've picked something up today. Good luck today, and I'll catch you Monday morning. Take care.